Good evening, little corkboards. Good time zone and warm greetings to wherever you are in the world. This is Amelia, aka Spaced Out Puffin, and you know what we're doing today. As promised, I am here to do an updated tier list for Heaven Official's Blessing. So this is the board, you know, the cracked up scrap board that ended up being my tier list board, and honestly, it's been like this ever since I made the board. Like, when was it? Back in January? It's been months. And it's just stayed like this in my office. So it was about time to pull it out, dust it off, and get to it. Because we have so many new characters that I'd like to talk more about. Let you guys know what I think about them. Because I have a lot of thoughts. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, I have a lot of thoughts. Which is why my videos are hours and hours and hours long. And while I think that if you have been watching my book series videos as well, you will know what I think about most of the characters, this is a nice way to structure my thoughts a little bit and also get that bit of like that ranking. You know, we're humans, we like that. We like tier lists. We like rankings like this. And things have changed. Like, we have characters that were central to season 1 but who are not even in season 2, and we have characters that I have changed my opinion about. So I thought, you know what, it will actually be really fun to make this video and kind of compare to see what I think about the characters now compared to back in January. And also, like, some of these characters don't even exist anymore. Hello, dark-robed woman. So yeah, here's another fun bonus video where I get to talk even more than I already do. But hey, you clicked the video, so maybe you're as interested in seeing how this turns out as I am. Okay, so I lied a little bit. This board has actually been changed. What's been changed is that every single one of these pictures were curling like crazy, probably because of the paper and the ink I was using to print them. So in order to uncurl them, I ironed out all these pictures. Like, some of them are still curling a little bit even after all that, but I had to iron them in order to get them to stay flat. Like, book pressing was not doing it. So yes, that was a little bit of weird extra work that I had to do in order to make the tier list again. And now that it's done again, let's tear it apart. By which I mean, let's do a cleanup, because first of all, we do have these little notes for names of characters that we now have pictures for. And we also have characters that simply do not exist in this season, or even in the story in general anymore. Case in point. Like, going from the top, I suppose Sanlang was in the story, but I do have a picture for Hwa-Chang this time around, so waiting for that one to come up. Banyue wasn't even in season 2 if you don't count the bare mentions of her and also her little voiceover in the flashback sequence Shulian did in season 2 episode 12. I'm gonna say that we're gonna take her down for this one. One of my favorite characters from season 1 who I was looking forward to seeing more of, but who's kind of just disappeared into, well, there was a lot of story to tell. And she was not a character in that. Aside from being like a possible scapegoat, bargaining chip sort of character. So bye-bye, Banyue. We'll see you later, I hope. I hope. Because likely we're not gonna see her for all of Arc 2, so bye-bye, Banyue. Really embodying those bygone Banyue days, eh? The black-robed woman. No explanation needed. And also, Nanfeng and Fuyao did not appear at all this season. Gosh, I really miss our personality-filled junior officials. But that means they need to go, as well. Now let's see, Lingwen was in the season, Windmaster was in the season, as was Pei Shaw, more so than Banyue. I'm gonna keep him up as well. Pei Ming was there. We don't talk about Bai Wuxiang. Xuanji was mentioned, but technically not in this season. Nor was the General Kamu. Fang Shi. Well, he was in the season. And lastly, over in our banishment corner, we do have the names for Voodoo, Egen, and also, well, Earthmaster now. I do have a picture coming up for Earthmaster at least. And of course, this creature here, Blackwater sinking ships, who is like the whole reason for the banishment corner's existence, basically just being a mention in the story, but still being intriguing enough to be kept up on the board. Yeah. Okay, so we did our little cleanup, and I also have all our new characters printed out right here. But before you can do a tier list, you need to set up criteria, and I'm just gonna reuse the ones I used for the last tier list I did. If you didn't watch that video, or if you don't recall, let us quickly go through the 3 criteria I use when I rank these characters. First up, were they interesting? Again, that's kind of something you just know when you're watching a character. To me, it's really about, did they fulfill their narrative purpose? Did they do something that made them useful to the story? And we have plenty of characters that embody that specific criteria, and then we have characters who were around in season 1 but who didn't really do anything in the season, so they weren't that interesting is what I'm saying. Like, I already know you know who they are, but stick around and you'll find out who. Criteria 2. Do I want more of them? Which is not the same as a character being interesting, again, because a character can be an interesting character if they fulfill some sort of narrative purpose and have a satisfying ending to their arc. There's a difference between a character who's done that, who's completed their journey, and we're still a really good character, and a character that I'm longing to see more of, either in the past, present, future, you know. And then there are characters that I really would like to see less of, but we'll get to that as well. And lastly, the third criteria, which is again the most important criteria because it can really end up shuffling this board into unexpected directions. The 3 Ps. You guys remember I introduced you to this very, very important literary analysis tool. In fact, maybe I've inspired you to make your own version of it. The 3 Ps are Puffin's personal preferences. Meaning, basically, did I like this character or did I not? Which can bring a character from a pretty decent ranking, a character that kind of did their part, up to maybe somewhere else on the list, because I personally think they're great. So of course, by using these 3 criteria, this tier list is just objectively going to be the most accurate and correct TGCF tier list ever. As of season 2. Stay tuned for the results. Now, I was wondering a little bit about how to go about this. I was wondering if maybe I should start with the characters that are already on the board and then shuffle our way up, or if I should start with our new characters. Because yeah, I don't actually know what the best order to go in would be for this, but maybe I can do like 1 tier and then pick up a character. Yeah, we can do that. In which case I am going to remove the Emperor for now, as well as Earthmaster, because they'll be coming up in the new pictures. So how about we start with the banishment corner? Can any of the characters in the banishment corner be moved out of the banishment corner? Blackwater, Voodoo, and Xuanyijin. No. Let's move on. Yeah, the thing about the banishment corner is that I've just put characters there who have, like, not really made themselves into anything relevant in the story. They haven't really appeared, they haven't really done anything other than, like, there's intrigue about them. In which case, you could argue that characters like Bai Wuxiang should have been in the banishment corner, but the reason why that character was moved out of the banishment corner on my previous tier list, and are in fact in the C tier, is because of the intrigue about them. Like, there's so much intrigue for me. There are so many things that I want to know about them. And in fact, all these characters are characters that I think are going to be interesting once we know a little bit more about them. But for now, all the information we have about them it's so scarce. I've made up my own theories. Like my theories are more interesting than the information we have about them currently. Want to know my most interesting theory about Blackwater and Showuru? They're the same person. Schwenigen we do know is connected to the Waning Moon officer, probably, likely, as in is the current God of the West and probably took over after the Waning Moon officer, if he indeed is the previous God of the West. But still, he's only mentioned. We don't know anything else about him. We know more about the Waning Moon officer than we know about him. So I suppose you could say that, yeah, we're interested in getting to know Blackwater and Showuru finally. But for now, the only new information we really got about them in season 2 is that Showuru is the brother of Xiaoqing Xuan and part of the Three Tumas. Blackwater, the only thing we got to learn about Blackwater is that he doesn't like Qirong either. So out of these three, Wudu is the one that is closest to moving out of this and into actually being in the series. He was even in the opening. I am so convinced that Showuru was in the opening. In fact, I wonder if this is enough to be like, yeah. You know what? Why not? I'm gonna do it. First move of the season 2 tier. Showuru is officially moving up a tier into D tier. AKA, do I even know you? Which is reserved for characters who were either treated so badly in the story that they were just kind of meh, like they weren't even good characters, you know? And also characters that we just don't know, but have certain intrigues around. So welcome Showuru to the D tier. And for the rest of you guys, to the corner we go. Let's continue through the D tier, because the only other character in the D tier from last time is Qirong. Where do we put Qirong? Because one thing's for sure, Qirong came into the show and said, I'm gonna make sure that you can never again say that you don't know this character. He made himself known, that's for sure. So he's gonna be C tier or above, right? Which reminds me that I didn't even tell you guys what the tiers are. Like, if you remember from the last video, all the tiers have different names and different circumstances for why I'm putting characters in them. The C tier are for the characters. They were simply characters. Like, they might have done their job, done their thing, and therefore they were characters, but I don't have any special feelings about them. B is for best of the bunch. The characters in the B tier are the characters that I personally really enjoy and who really stood out in some way as characters that will be memorable going forward. A tier, all I want in a character. This is basically the tier for some of my favorite characters that basically fulfilled all the criteria, but maybe they were lacking that little extra, that little X factor, that little chemical S, the supreme factor. And honestly, I can really only still think of one person who 100% deserves to be in the S tier. And spoiler alert, Qirong is not one of them. Not for me. Not for me. So Qirong comes into the story and is different from all the other characters in the story so far. He really stands out because the way he talks, the way he acts, the way he still is actually, you know, related to the central characters in a familiar manner, which makes him, you know, he's important. He's important both in the present and in the past because of his connection to the main character. And that alone is enough to make him, yeah, a character for sure. But is he a good character? So, time will tell. Because the thing about Qirong again is that the part of the story he was in was full. It was so chaotic and he really added to it. He made all the reveals extremely memorable. So he has really done his job. Like, he has carried his part and then some in this season. However, I really wonder what they're gonna do with him next. Because as we know, like, he's now, you know, in front of Chilean, who is, you know, he's goading him, is making him angry. And Chilean is about to put a blade through him, maybe, sort of fade to black, all that. And my question is, like, what kind of arc would a character like this have? I can't really point out Chi-Rong's motivations. It seems like he is really just an agent of chaos. That's what he's up to. Like, maybe he wants to make a name for himself. He seems like he wants to be considered as, like, one of the greatest of the calamities. Though he's not even a ghost king yet. So yeah, so maybe that's his thing. He wants to become the greatest ghost king or whatever. But I am really struggling to see how they're gonna make that part interesting. So what I'm saying is, as a character, he has been one of the most interesting introductions to the story. Definitely outstanding in his own way. But do I want to see more of Chi-Rong? Well, I want to see what they're gonna do with him, but I am so skeptical because I don't understand how they're gonna make it interesting. Like, I feel like if they're gonna keep going with the same sort of brash persona who's gonna come into every situation just to cause havoc, this is gonna be tiresome very quickly. At the same time, I do know that a lot of people really enjoy Chi-Rong, like, beyond what he's been in season 2. So they might do a twist with him that actually makes him bearable. But as of now, I am still looking forward to seeing what his end is gonna be, like what even is the author gonna do with him. And I think his existence has been key to some of the things that have been happening around Chilean, which of course is, you know, the core of the story. Chilean is the heart of the story. But I am personally scared that I'll be bored of Chi-Rong if this continues for another 6 books. Which is why I cannot give Chi-Rong a higher rating than the B tier. Chi-Rong was one of the best characters of this season, but will he be a good character for the rest of TGCF? To me, that's gonna be the exciting part, I think. We're gonna go through the whole of C tier, but first let us fish up a random card from inside of here, and it's gonna be... It's the best picture I could find that kind of encapsulates how I feel about the character Meng. It's A tier, easy. Right up here with Roya, actually. I'm just gonna keep them there. Like, that's not gonna be any surprise for you. The thing about Roya and Meng is that they are absolutely amazing. Like, they are spiritual devices, but they have so much character and personality. And it's to the point where when any of them are on screen and in focus, it makes me happy. It makes me a little happy. Sometimes while I was reading book 1, I think, someone asked me to choose between Roya and Meng. And the answer is still the same. Right now, as of having read the 2, well, almost 2 books, and seen the 2 seasons, Meng is definitely the more interesting of the 2, because we have connections between Meng and another important and very interesting character, aka Hua Chang. Well, Roya is still very mysterious to us, and we don't have any clues really as of Roya's origin, if that is relevant, like the extent of what Roy can do. So, and Meng having that eye is just, it's amazing. It's fucking amazing. Just, you know, leaving in episode 6 with Meng's eye quivering and making these sad noises and the fucking screeching sound it makes. I'm absolutely enamored with Meng. So yes, Meng inches out in front of Roya for me. But I'm hoping that we'll get to learn more about Roya as well. They're both amazing. It's really hard to rank them, but as of right now, Meng, Roya, just neck to neck, really. And that is how it is. That's how it is. Should we do another one? Let's do another one. That was too easy. Let's do another one. Oh, this is a hard one. Do you like how I picked the picture of Function being all crimson rained on? I had another screenshot ready for him that was kind of cool, but this one is just, it's iconic. It's so iconic. This is one where he still looks kind of dangerous about this whole situation, not as sad puppy, but we're getting there. Function, let's talk about Function. So in the last season, I ranked Function's junior official in the B tier because Nanfang really was the best of the bunch. He was such a fun, good character who had this really grand moment. Function has been this kind of presence in all of season 1, and then in season 2, he's finally gotten some things to do. And we've gotten to talk to him, and I am so glad that he got to have a little bit of spotlight in episode 11 and 12 without mooching there to interfere. Because that is what mooching does when mooching is with Function, and vice versa. They interfere with each other. They are very different characters when they are apart, is what I'm trying to say. So Function is way more straightforward to me than mooching. I've had these conversations, these discussions throughout my season 2 watch, and also while we've been reading volume 2 and 1 as well. But the book has been lending us some more details about Function that I'm looking forward to exploring. One of the most recent reveals is that he is actually the designated Qirong Wrangler. As in, both when he was, still mortal, but also after Shirley ascended, he had to go down and deal with Qirong quite a bit because Qirong was always causing trouble. So that was something new that I learned from the books. I also really like that pride doesn't seem to be his main fault, so to speak. This scene in particular really captures that. The fact that he admits very readily that he can't argue with skill. Hua Shang really did kill all those ghosts in an instant. But still, there was so much to analyze and to think about when we were watching the scene. Like, I think that they put so much effort into his expressions and into, giving us ideas of what he might have been thinking at that time. Additionally, Function has been more present. He did go to see Shirlian after the whole, accusation of Shirlian being Function and responsible for the Gilded Banquet massacre. And also, he rushed to Shirlian to aid him after the whole Ghost City stunt. And because of how episode 11 and 12 ended, with him getting these big moments and us learning so much about him, I am way more intrigued with Function than I was. So, now knowing that we are going to be visiting the past and probably meeting him as well, I am, there is so much anticipation in me. I'm way more interested in him now than I was in season 1. Which leaves the question of where do we put him? Because I think that to the casual viewer, he might be a bit hard to pick up on as well, but this is my list and I am not a casual viewer. So I don't have any choice. I feel like he's between A and B tier for me. So A tier, he's more interesting to me than Qirong. So he's gonna be above Qirong because I feel like he deserves that. A tier for Function. Okay, with a few new characters up on the board, let's go through the C tier. And first up here is Pei Ming, who finally made his appearance in season 1. And oh my gosh, what an appearance it was. Narratively, Pei Ming is there to be a sort of antagonistic voice whenever we're in the Heavenly Court. He goes toe-to-toe with Shirlian and Shi Qingxuan, especially with Shi Qingxuan. And overall, we're learning a lot more about what his position is like. And after reading the books, I'm also slowly realizing that he is more of a big deal than I thought after watching season 1. He is, in fact, perhaps the second most popular martial god in all of heaven, after the Emperor. So he's doing really well for himself. And he's also a part of these 3 tumors and their little friendship group, which I'm looking forward to seeing more of. And despite Pei Ming taking the role of an antagonist in the debates that they're having up in, you know, in the Hall of Divine Might, because he is, he's trying to save Pei Shaw's skin, he's trying to get some sympathy votes here, he's having a bit of a hard time, he is still kind of cool. I really like the moment in season 2, episode 12, when Xue Qingxuan is trying to accuse Mu Qing of having been shirking his duties because he thought Mu Qing was responsible for the Heavenly Guard duty or whatever for that month that the Shanlai Palace got infiltrated with the teleportation array was built there or whatever. But it was actually Pei Ming, and he readily admitted to it. And I'm intrigued, okay? There's also the fact that I know that he has somewhat of a fan base, apparently more in the West than in the Chinese fan base. But like what I'm saying is that I can kind of empathize with his position. I understand why he's doing what he's doing, and I am intrigued to learn even more about him now that I know that he's kind of a big deal and not just a random martial god womanizer, which is kind of my season 1 impression of Pei Ming. There was something more in season 1 as well, but what I'm saying is, he is definitely a character that we can elevate from the C tier and into the B tier for this season. So Pei Ming, because I am interested in seeing where you're headed next, congratulations, you are the best of the bunch for season 2. And you should be thanking Xue Qingxuan for arguing with you, because that was definitely a big part of it. Now in the C tier, we can also find the bandaged kid now named Long Ying. And Long Ying continues to be a character. We have learned something new about Long Ying. We have learned that Long Ying is from Yong'an and not from Shanle, which makes him intriguing in some sense, but honestly, out of all of Shilian's kids, he's my least favorite. Am I allowed to say that? Can I play favorites? I am playing favorites though. He's now apparently going to train under Shilian, and Windmaster took care of him for a bit. We don't know where he is right now. But so far, he's not done anything. I guess the most intriguing part of him is the fact that Hua Chang is suspicious about him, and that is kind of like a big red flag in my book. I think that the narrative, like whenever Hua Chang is suspicious of someone, we should be paying attention. So yeah, he stays in the C tier for me. He is indeed a character, someone I want to keep an eye out for, and I am kind of intrigued at what's gonna happen to him, because he's with Sholian, you know? So he's better than D tier to me. He's just not getting out of the character tier just yet. In fact, I am so close to moving him down into D tier, but because of Long Ying, we got delightful scenes such as the transparent overlay of baby Hua Chang eating. So I'll forgive him, and for that reason I will elevate him to C tier, which means that we still have Bai Wuxiang. Okay, so again, Bai Wuxiang is only in the C tier because of the anticipation I have for this character. They are more of a concept than a character still. However, reading the books did give us a little bit more of that, yeah, this is definitely a person sort of vibe, when we learned of Shilian's memory of watching Bai Wuxiang waving at him as his kingdom was falling apart. It was a very memorable part of the books. But as of season 2, like again, there's been nothing new, and there are so many other things I am more intrigued about. I am anticipating Bai Wuxiang's entry into the story if the next arc is going to be about the fall of Shanle, which means that he's probably gonna pop up, right? So there is a certain sense of anticipation still, but right now it doesn't even, they don't feel like a very important character right now. I know they're gonna be super important, but I don't know how to explain it. Like, I have my theories about Bai Wuxiang. The current big one being that he is somehow connected to Long Ying. I think that maybe even Long Ying is Bai Wuxiang in a very weakened form or something like that. That's my best bet. Though there's also the thing about the mysterious brunette person in the short film, but we're not talking about that just yet. Saving that for the next video. So actually, like I feel like I was too generous with Bai Wuxiang in the last ranking. And because Bai Wuxiang is still pretty much a character we don't know yet, but we are anticipating stuff about, I think I'm gonna put him on the level of Shobudu. So, Bai Wuxiang for season 2, D tier. So we went through the C tier and basically cleared it out, but we do have characters that need to go there. In the B tier, I've just put up Qirong and Pei Ming, but we're actually going to be moving some characters down. First of all, Ling Wen. I am so sorry, but Ling Wen was so underwhelming in season 2. She was literally only in season 2 to come an information dump. Like, she didn't even have a cute moment with Shirley-Ann like she had in season 1. Like, I have so many like ideas for where she can go, what kind of character she can be, but season 2 Ling Wen was so boring. Basically only there to tell us things for plot reasons. So season 2 Ling Wen honestly is more D tier. However, I still love her and I still remember her fondly from season 1. And because I am biased as fuck, she is not gonna go lower than a C tier. Ling Wen is gonna be a C tier character for season 2. Which leaves us with Pei Shaw. Pei Shaw was a very pivotal character in the Banyu arc, being, you know, the actual antagonist behind all these things, but also a very sympathetic antagonist. Like, there were things that we could empathize with. And also, he was connected to Banyu very closely. And because he did get the best of me, I did rank him quite highly in the best of the bunch. As of season 2, he did have a cameo in episode 1 and again in episode 3, 4? No, wait, the cameo was in episode 8. But the mention refers to something that happened around episode 3-4 in that he slaughtered some of Qirong's ghosts, henchmen, lackeys. And he was really hot doing it. Very lonesome around his little campfire out in the nowhere. I have an anticipation for Pei Shaw to show up again while we're out in the mortal realm. And also, I really liked that he stood up for Banyu when Pei Ming, his boss, his ancestor, was trying to, you know, make her the scapegoat for all of the shit that went down. I love that scene so much. I remember that scene so clearly. So I'm giving him that. However, for the rest of season 2, I enjoy Pei Shaw and I have hopes for him. But he wasn't really a character in season 2, let's be honest. So he is a character. He sure was a character who did some things and there was some anticipation around him. Whenever you see him on screen, you get that little bit of, oh, that's him. But he is still just a character in season 2 of Heaven Official's Blessing. Ta-da! Which leaves us with Windmaster. I have a new picture of Windmaster and now I have to find that picture. I did not plan this as well as I needed to. But here is Shi Qingxuan, the Windmaster. The Windmaster made the B tier in season 1 as a character that showed up and did things and was intriguing, and I personally thought Windmaster was absolutely gorgeous. I do not deny these thoughts, these things, but who overall kind of just showed up to conclude the Banyu arc and gave good vibes, but that was it. But after having spent season 2 with Shi Qingxuan, oh my lord, the Windmaster, guys. I had so much fun in season 2. We got to see so many good sides of Shi Qingxuan. We got to see some more, you know, complicated bad sides of Shi Qingxuan. We got to see them make mistakes. We got to see them have fun. We got to see them have a bad time. It was great, is what I'm saying. It was great. And I have so much anticipation for Shi Qingxuan as, you know, Shirley-Ann's first real friends after the third ascension, not counting Sunlong. This is a very competent character who gives a lot of good vibes and who, you know, I am anticipating that they will have a role going forward. They have so much clout in heaven. They know so many things. I feel like they are the character we need to go to and approach whenever, like, things needs to be investigated, when we need to know things about people. We need to pull up Shi Qingquan. I am sure I could fill a whole video essay as of why Shi Qingquan deserves to be an A tier character, but I'm just gonna tell you instead. You guys know, you all know why, I know why, you know why. And you know, I understand not personally liking this sort of personality in a character. They can be a bit overwhelming and maybe they're just not your style, but to me, Shi Qingquan is an A tier character. In fact, so far up the list that he's like inching into S tier character. Season 2 was really the Shi Qingquan, the Windmaster season. And that, like, I didn't even mention how he went, you know, into Shillian's defense and all that. Like, oh, I loved his scenes. His scenes debating the other people up in heaven, it's just, I love all of them. His scene with Hua Chang, the fact that he gets along with Hua Chang. Oh my lord, that is such a green flag. So yes, my affections for the Windmaster have grown like exponentially every time we see him in Season 2. For Season 2, Shi Qingquan is an A tier character and in fact just inching into S tier, which is why the corner is a bit above the washi tape. Okay, I'm gonna move just Paiming a little bit closer over here. And then that leaves us with an A tier that has like no new changes, no changes that need to be made. We have Roya, who's still here, Erming, who's the new entry, and Function and Windmaster, who have also entered this tier, which means that we really just have to pull new characters that need to enter the board and then have a look at the S tier. So I have all these sheets in this little card, so I'm just gonna pull one out randomly, and it's Mingyi. Earthmaster! Yeah, the fun thing about Earthmaster in the previous board is that they were simultaneously in the banishment corner and in the A tier. But where does Mingyi go now? Mingyi is involved in one of the parts of the plot that I just can't wrap my head around currently. I am missing some key pieces of information and it is driving me insane. Whenever I think about this plot, I end up going on rants about this plot and I'm gonna stop myself before it happens again. So there is definitely a certain sense of anticipation in me, but I'm also so tired of him now. Because I can't figure him out. I do like that we have now established him as a character and we've established his relationship to the Windmaster. And I do like that there is a certain, you know, anticipation of bad shit going down. Like, this is not your goody two-shoes character. This guy probably is in some deep shit with Ghost Kings, you know? With Hua Chang. Like, once this beef hits the pan, it's gonna be sizzling because it's so juicy. But other than that, we didn't learn that much more about them as a character because they appeared, they talked a bit, we're a bit like, I am not friends with people who go dressed like that. Like, they were throwing shade and then they passed out while we did the plot. And then they were passed out for the rest of Season 2. So what I'm saying is there's mainly just anticipation around them. They were not really, like, they were an interesting character in the sense of, I want to know where this is going, but there's barely any personality yet. Like, most of it is just my headcanons and from what we kind of can glean from their interactions with Shi Qingquan. But we haven't had a proper conversation with them even. So I am tempted to put them in the C tier, but because I have a certain, you know, anticipation for this plot around them, I suppose Mingyi can be a B tier character. But barely, like barely. He's literally more like Ling Wen, except there's the plot around him, the anticipation around him that pulls him up for me. So Earthmaster B tier, but barely. Why, you might ask, did the black-robed woman make the A tier then? In the last season? Well, the answer is quite simple. Ming Yi has a severe lack of boob window. Moving on. The Emperor himself, it's Sky Daddy. Whew. The Emperor Junwoo was probably the character I anticipated the most after season 1, despite only being ever mentioned. And oh my gosh, he appeared and he delivered. Junwoo is one of those characters who's like, he's representing, you know, the organization of heaven, right? He is the top dog, and he also has that little bit of like that mentor character feeling regarding Julian. There are a lot of things to enjoy about this character. His character design, his voice actors in both languages that I've been watching, his position in heaven, the fact that he has been getting stronger and stronger, which to me is either a death flag or a red flag. Yeah, it's there's a lot of potential in this character, and whenever he enters the room, mostly to wrangle his kids, aka the heavenly officials, and to play favorites, which is just what he does. That's his job. Whenever he does that, I'm having a good time. I'm having a lot of fun. He is one of the characters that I keep having like this feeling of anticipation around. And like when he's on screen, there's tension. There's so much tension. You don't know where this is gonna go. And all the heavenly officials are paying attention as well, because they know that whoever he supports is actually, you know, in a better position than previously thought. I'm talking about Chilean. I am rambling and I'm talking about Chilean. And I love that. I love the tension he creates, and I love the anticipation I get whenever he's on screen. So to me, Junwoo being, you know, the leader of heaven puts him in a very interesting position in the plot, because we don't know if that means he's gonna end up dead or if he's gonna end up being a bad guy. And simultaneously, everything about him is just so fun and tension filled. So to me, Junwoo for season 2 definitely was the best of the bunch. We're inching into A tier. The only reason I can't put Junwoo in A tier is because I don't know, actually. I don't know why I can't put Junwoo in A tier. You know what? We're putting Junwoo in A tier. We're putting Junwoo in A tier. Towing the line, but yes, okay, Junwoo is in A tier. Because while he makes me nervous, I really, really like him. Moving on. Longton Shaw, oh my lord. Longton Shaw is one of my favorite, if not my favorite character that is a side character of this whole season. I've been talking about this already. There's just everything from his introduction to the setup to the fall to the reveals. There's so much here. And the Donghua made his character even more easy to empathize with. And his voice actors in both languages did such a good job with him. He is so memorable as a character. His whole kit is super memorable, as in his weapon and his abilities. And you know, the fact that he is basically Julian's kid because he was taught by Julian. Julian was his teacher. That's basically a half an adoption, right? And I am very biased towards Julian's kids. Which only leaves the part where going forward, is Long Chen Cho going to be as interesting? Because he's out on his little revenge plot now. He is in the gonna avenge my parents' murders era again, because he thought he had them avenged and now he's gotta do it all over again. I picked a picture from before the reveals because he's just so cute and so happy, and we're never gonna see him like this again, but this was like the beginning of season 2. In the beginning of season 2, I actually thought he was such a dumbass as well, and I hate characters like that usually. They make me feel so annoyed and I'm just waiting for them to go off screen. But Long Chen Choa has somehow managed to become one of my favorite characters despite all that. So Long Chen Choa A tier. I think for me personally, Windmaster is slightly more interesting than Long Chinchou going forward, because I'm a bit like, this fucking revenge plot. And also it has to do with Qirong, and I'm just not anticipating seeing Qirong that much. But they are pretty similar levels here, I think, to give you some context to kind of how I'm ranking within the tiers, I suppose. Anyway. I'm gonna need a drink for this. Fucking mooching, man. I have, ever since I started reading the book, this man has annoyed me more than any other character in this whole show. I do not understand him. I cannot understand, because I am missing, again, vital information. But everything he does is just so fucking fascinating to me. Like, I want to study him, like, under a microscope. Like, I want to break him apart and just, like, see what's inside. How the fuck does his brain function? Like, oh my, I've gone on multiple mooching rants throughout my reading of Volume 1 and Volume 2, and also a few of them during my Season 2 watch, so I'm not that keen on repeating all of them, but let's put it this way. Mooching is a character who has a lot of contradictions. He will act and say things that seem so out of place, but at the same time you understand that it is coming from somewhere, and we haven't uncovered that somewhere just yet. So again, as with Function, going into Arc 2, knowing that we're gonna be going into the past, I am so intrigued. I am so excited to see what I can glean about mooching now that I get to actually study him a little bit more. He is a character who should be, you know, like Function. You feel like you should kind of have similar feelings about them. But he is infinitely harder to like in that sense. Like Function, like, we understand that very early on that he has a genuine wish to again help protect Shirley-Ann. We also learn that he spends a lot of time in the mortal realm, and it is implied that he was probably looking for Shirley-Ann. I don't remember now if that was, you know, ever mentioned in the book. I think it is more something that's just been implied to me, actually, so maybe scratch that. But my point is, like, Function's motivations around Shirley-Ann seem quite clear, even though he has been a little bit cowardly about how he's been going about them. But mooching, oh my god. Mooching! Like, he has so much of that, Skadefryd, that German word again, I can't remember the pronunciation, Schadenfreude, Schadenfreude. Anyway, the kind of like the joy of seeing Shirley-Ann struggle, and that keeps being reiterated throughout the novel. Like, it's in the details and everything. He's just so spiteful, but at the same time, he shows up with like a healing ointment, and he wants to help but not make it obvious. Like, again, fucking mooching. I said I wasn't gonna go on a rant about mooching, and then I end up going on a rant about mooching. So where do we put this guy? Honestly, there's nothing to it. He's gotta be. I might sound like I fucking hate mooching, and partially, maybe I do. Maybe there is a part of me that have very strong feelings about mooching. But that is all I want in a character. That is what I want from a character in a story like this. I want them to make me feel things. I want them to make me want more. And mooching does that. I am still very curious to understand why he is the favorite character of so many people. I am sure there are reasons for this as well. So I'm anticipating learning more about him, and he's currently just very infuriating. But also, like, I like him. this is very confusing to me too. Yeah. I wonder how much of my opinion of these characters is just the influence of all the people I surround myself with. So if you would like to influence future tier lists and puffin thoughts, come talk to me on Discord, I guess. But we have more characters to put up on the board, and the next one is this man. The Waning Moon Officer, aka, well, we don't know yet, but maybe the previous god of the West. And while this picture really does not convey it, he is such a suspicious character because he has very pretty eyes. Like whenever you can, like there are a couple of times you can see this in episode 3. First when we first meet him and you get this close-up of his eyes. But then again, when Sholian is stalking him and he turns around and you can see his eyes again, his eyes are very pretty, which means that he's very suspicious. He is Hua Chang's subordinate, but he was likely a god. He has a cursed shackle. He has likely been banished by John Woo. But while there is some intriguing plot around him, as in like I think maybe he was leading Sholian to Earthmaster to see how the array worked, but I also can't tell if he did it on his own initiative or if he was working with Hua Chang on that. Like there is some intrigue that we need to kind of reveal. I would like to know if he has an actual name as well, which he likely does, because he was a highness of the heavenly realm, you know? And he's also one of the reasons why Xuen Yijin is still, you know, relevant, because this is how Yijin is relevant. This is why Yijin is mentioned, aside from the fact that Qi Rong is trying to make his followers fight Pei Ming's followers, but okay. But in the case of season 2, he lacks speaking lines and things to do, and we don't see him after, is it episode 4? Episode 3 maybe. After that one episode he was introduced, we just don't see him again. But he has done his job in the plot of season 2. He has been introduced, he has introduced some intrigue and made things more. Therefore, he is a C tier character as of season 2. And it seems I only have one card left, which is Hua Chang. Crimson Rain Sword Flower. I made sure to pick the picture where he is looking at Sholian directly, without the curtain and all that, for the first time. This is what he looks like when he looks at Gaga. Gosh, he's so, oh, man. So, San Lang, aka Hua Chang. In season 1, I ended up ranking Hua Chang in the S tier along with Sholian. Sholian, of course, being both my favorite character in the show and also one of the most interesting and intriguing main characters I have seen in a series in a very long time. So the question is, as of season 2, can we continue to let Hua Chang be an S tier character? Especially now that we're comparing him to all these other amazing characters, especially his scimitar Ming, who really outshone him in some scenes of this show. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when I was starting to think about doing a tier list again, I had this moment of, was Hua Chang that interesting this season? And then I remembered the first 4 episodes of this season. There was so much happening this season that I almost forgot that Hua Chang was like, I think I had like a 40-minute rant about him one time. Like he's amazing. In this season, we learned so much new shit about Hua Chang in the first half of this season, and it kind of takes the backseat a little bit in the second half of the season when it comes to new information, because we're learning more about Sholian in that part of the season, as well as all these other things and these other reveals. But he is still there, he is still present, and he still has things to do and stuff to say, and also, you know, becomes that anchor to Sholian once again. Sholian is the heart of the story and the plot, but Hua Chang is the driver of the romantic plot. And to Shillian, he's already just become such an important character. And yes, there are a lot of great things about Heaven Official's Blessing. But again, one of the greatest things about this series is the way the romance is developing. And I just keep coming back to that. And the reason, again, why that part is so fun and so well done is because both the characters are amazing characters so far, with a lot of intrigue around them and a lot of good qualities. I think that having spent as much time as I have trying to understand Hua Chang, trying to understand his wants, his desires, why he has built up this ghost city for himself and become this big, powerful person, when, for all intents and purposes, his goal seems to be Shillian and his health and happiness. Like, there's just something really interesting about the way the author has decided to set up these characters. The fact that we are entering the story and Hua Chang already has a special relation to Shillian, to the main character, the first time we see him, that we have to uncover, instead of this being their real first meeting and them having to like get to know each other from scratch like that. Like, there's the fact that not only is TGCF told in layers, but their story is also told in these layers, where Shillian is now, you know, getting to know Hua Chang, which he does in season 2. Both things that he might not agree with and things that he is learning to like/love, like his, you know, long legs clad in leather boots. Yeah, like Hualien are having disagreements, but they are listening to each other and they're developing this, I was supposed to be talking about Hua Chang and I keep devolving into Hualien, but I feel like he is the driving force behind Hualien. The fact that he is already, you know, deeply in everything with Shillian. Like he is here, ready to ride or die, and he already did the dying part. And as of the end of season 2, he is the character who's made me cry the most. Even more than Shillian. So, there's nothing to it. As of season 2, Hua Chang is still, to me, an S-tier character in this story. And the only character who outdoes him is Shillian. And honestly, it's getting to be quite a close race. I wonder if, at the end of TGCF, my opinion on these two will have changed, as in, I wonder if Hua Chang might actually turn out to be my favorite character, because I love him dearly already. On the other hand, I have already committed so hard to Shillian, and I am, as confessed earlier, a little bit of a main character simp. But really, who knows where this story is going to take us? As of right now, this is where the story has taken me. I am incredibly satisfied with my new tier list for Heaven Official's Blessing as of right now. And I'm hoping that as we go through the volumes, I'll be able to take a break to rearrange this just a little bit, to add the new characters as we meet them, and let you guys know my real thoughts about the different characters. So using my same criteria, but from your point of view, what does this list look like? Feel free to leave your tier list with your personal preferences down in the comments. Using your own personal preferences and all these characters, what is your tier list? Drop it down in the comments and let's discuss. Which characters stole the show in season 2 for you? And which characters are you more excited for me to learn more about? So satisfied that I ended up filming this video, and hopefully tomorrow I can get back into volume 2 and knock out at least one chapter that is going to be filled with new content for me. This has been Amelia, aka Space That Puffin, and I will see you in the next one.